back to Kyle. Okay. Our audience member says, knowing there is polarization, what might be some of your strategies to foster cross-communication?
That's a great question. I will not vote. I disagree very, very strongly with the way that the governor is taking the state and with the way that his colleagues, and I don't mean the entire Republican delegation, but most of them, are taking this state. That doesn't mean I will vote against everything that is their idea. I will not vote against something that is their idea just because it is their idea or the governor's idea. I think we may have some room for cooperation on revising the school funding formula, on revising the tax code to get us through the next couple of years. However, I will not, and I also do not believe in attacking people personally because of their views. However, I will not vote for something that I do not believe in because the governor or anybody asks me to. They have the right to ask me to. The governor has been quite aggressive at asking people, especially people in his own party, to vote a certain way, even when it was not a way that they truly believed, as evidenced by 3/4 of the moderate Republicans changing their vote on the tax bill that happened. I think I and the other people on this stage, not being a member of the governor's party, actually facilitates some independence, some ability to talk to people without being pressured by the governor or the leadership of his party to vote a certain way. We can actually make up our minds by ourselves, and I look forward to doing that.
Thank you. Same question.
Well, this is one area in which I feel that my experience as both a faculty person and an administrator is going to benefit me greatly, because when you get a bunch of faculty, teachers, and administrators together, you get a lot of different opinions. And so I have nearly 20 years of practice at trying to communicate and bring people together and to find common ground when it's possible. And so certainly I will use that experience and that skill set if I am elected as the next senator from the district. I think that that's important. I think that even when you do not agree with the other side, it is still important to have that dialogue. It's important to try to convince them why your argument is the better one and why they should come over to your side of the table. Now, having said all that, and I certainly have a dedication to collaboration and communication, there's only so much you can do as an individual, and we have seen such ideological entrenchment on the part of certain individuals that despite good efforts to reach out, some people just won't move. The old saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. So ultimately, there's only so much that each of us can do, and I know that we're probably all very dedicated to this idea, but in reality, what needs to happen is the voters need to exercise their will at the polls and elect representatives who are willing to work with one another, to put the people of Kansas first, and to focus on the priorities of the state, rather than just ganging up against another political party or coming together with the governor to push forward an agenda, be it right or wrong.
And Mr. Reed, your response on how to deal with this polarization?
Well, I've spent my career also in a very diverse workplace, and I believe that by and large, good decisions come about from receiving a diversity of opinions, and so I'm a team player, and like to work on a team and believe that that's the best way to get things done. So it is a problem, I think, that we're going to face, and I'm certainly do not believe that compromise is a bad word, and will strive to do my best to work with the opposition when possible.
Given the substantial disparity in registration between Republicans on the one hand and Democrats and unaffiliated voters in the 11th district, I'm not going to wind up going to Topeka unless I'm able to reach across the aisle and get a substantial number of Republicans to vote for me. That's the fact I don't intend to go to Topeka if I'm set by the voters as a representative of the red team or the blue team. I'm going down there as a representative of the people who live in Leawood and Overland Park to try to protect their interests and represent their interests in the legislature. That said, I've spent my whole legal career as a negotiator doing collective bargaining negotiations on the management side, and I've sat across the table from the NEA and from the construction unions, and I've developed a strong relationship with the folks on the other side, and that's been my career, trying to do deals in an environment where people have differences of opinion and different interests, but where both of their interests will be satisfied best if they're able to come to some sort of reasonable agreement, and I hope to be able to bring that skill to the legislature.
Thank you. An audience member asked the following. Clean energy, especially wind power, has been a growth sector in Kansas, yet some legislators want to overturn the renewable portfolio standard, which directs that 20% of our energy should be from renewables by the year 2020. Do you support the renewable portfolio standards, and what is your opinion of clean energy generally?
Okay. I think that it's very important that we move forward toward new sources of energy and clean energy. It's very clear, the data shows undeniably that sticking with what we've done in the past is not going to get us where we need to go in the future. Our current sources of energy are very dirty and they're very limited. And clean energy is not only important in its own right, but it is an economic boost and can create a lot of jobs for the state. And Kansas really is, I think, is either first or second in the nation in terms of wind power possibility because of all of our land, especially in central and western Kansas, that could be used for wind farming. And so we do need the infrastructure to make that as effective as it can possibly be, transmission lines and so forth. But I think moving in those directions is undeniably important. And, you know, at a federal level, I mean, none of us are dealing with that, but energy is also a national security issue. And so as we can become more energy independent, we are more secure as a nation if we are not funding countries, many of whom have oil, also do not have our best interests in mind. So there are a multitude of variables that make it very important for us to move forward on clean energy.
And Mr. Green, your position with regard to a renewable portfolio standard and clean energy generally?
Well, I would support staying with the 20% requirement for renewable energy. I believe we're probably about 10 years behind where we should be in terms of moving to cleaner sources of energy and lower carbon emissions. I think that after all, some people have made a career out of being global warming deniers, and I think we can't extrapolate too much from one hot summer, but I think if we look at the climate trends worldwide, it's pretty clear what's happening, and Kansas needs to be a part of that solution.
And Mr. Delaney, the same question.
Yeah, I'm on the general proposition as to the importance of clean energy, and particularly wind power. I think it is important, and I think we ought to do what we can in Kansas to promote it. We can't drive down I-70 or 36 and not have some sense as to the economic impact it's having when you see that those forests of wind turbines out there. Frankly, I don't know enough about the implications of the 20% requirement as a part of the portfolio, and what, if any, impact changes at the federal level in incentives and tax treatment might have. It may be that if the federal government isn't providing the level of assistance, that it would be very difficult to achieve that. I'd have to be convinced that there was a compelling need to move away from the current standard.